crash into Level 4 of the World Trade Center. The World Trade Center, tower number 1 is on fire.
City Police Department. I was a detective doing, at the time I was doing gang and terrorism investigations and combating them. Retired in January 25th of 2005 after 20 years of service. That morning, it was supposed to be my partner and I. His name is Robert Hurley, detective also. We were supposed to do what they call a shooting response. Anything that happens within the confines of the city, shootings or stabbing, that looks like it's possibly gang-related or motivated, we were to respond to. The guy who we worked with, his name is Billy Donnelly. He was also a detective, 20 years at the time, of 2001. His son's autistic, and his son had joined a soccer team, Billy's son. Billy's son's first game was the evening of September 11th. He had asked Bob or I the night before, we wanted to switch with him. He did a night shift, he'll do a day shift, so he can make his son's soccer game. My partner Bob complied and said, he'll work the shift, night shift, and Billy could do the days with me. Like I said in the last class before, that probably saved my life, them switching. My partner Bob and I were two of the, I guess you could call it gun-ho cops, detectives. We were highly decorated, but we were very active. And we ran into things without thinking about it. We thought about what could have happened after it was done. So by Billy switching with Bob, it's probably one of the reasons why I'm here today. I got into the office that morning. I worked in Brooklyn, in Bedford-Stuyvesant, 81st Precinct. Walked into the office 15 minutes before the first plane struck the towers. When you first walk into my squad room, there's a desk off to the side here with a big block, and you sign on duty. My desk was off in the far corner, and we have police radios assigned to us. As soon as I walk in, I turn the radio on to see what's going on, and I'm on what's called the citywide division. Anything that happens throughout the entire city of New York will come over this one division. It's time to do some paperwork. At the time, it's just the one detective, Billy, my captain, and myself. That's all that's in the office at the time. I'm on duty at the time. And it comes over our radio as a helicopter struck World Trade Center number 1, the first tower with the antenna on. So let my captain know what's going on. He asked me to have guys, he asked me to go next door to the precinct detective squad, let them know what's going on, make sure they're aware of it, see if we have extra manpower because we're going to start responding to the scene. I go next door, noise in the office. I start yelling out and they had them call me, Richie, back here. We're watching TV, come back, look at this. I walk back and on news, first camera that's there, is filming the tower, it's showing the tower, first tower. And you can see the wingspan in the tower from the plane. At that point, we're looking like, jetliner hit? Was it a helicopter? That's unusual. First of all, New York City is a no-fly zone. No planes are allowed to fly over New York City, period. Small commuter planes, small passenger planes, large commuter planes. No planes at all. Helicopters only, and like the helicopters and private helicopters. So to have a jetliner crash into the Twin Tower, weird, unusual, but nobody was thinking. We just, right, maybe the pilot had a heart attack, plane ran out of fuel, bearings were off, something happened, was a mechanical problem with the plane, that's why it crashed. Nobody's thinking at the time. So the detectives there, they couldn't leave. Their captain wasn't there at the time. Their orders were to stand fast, stay still. They couldn't leave. I go back next door, I tell the captain to come out, I put the TV on, and he sees the same thing I see. At that time, the phone rings in the office. It was our boss, Inspector Tartaglia. He asked me who's the highest ranking officer in the office at the time. And I tell him it's Captain Galfano. He says, put him on. Put him on the phone, he asks him roll call, how many guys you have, who's present. So he says 2 detectives and 1 captain, that's all he said, present at the time. The inspector tells him, have us stand by, do not go anywhere. Captain hangs the phone, looks at me in the building, goes, get the gear, let's get the stuff, we're out of here, let's go. We're going to the scene. We have the unit that we're in, we didn't drive marked police cars, we didn't drive unmarked police cars, we drove what they call nondescript vehicles. They were rental cars, so you couldn't make out we were cops. We had a Suburban, my car was an Altima. My first car was a Mustang. They were undescript vehicles, so you didn't know we were cops. So we have this big Suburban we fill up with equipment. We put on what's called raid jackets. It's just a blue windbreaker, has a shield in the front, patches on the arms, and the back NYPD detectives. Put our jackets on, we start responding down to the scene. City traffic's hell as it is. Notice that day with people trying to leave New York, leave Manhattan, to go into Brooklyn to get out of there. If anybody's been to New York, you'll know what it's like when you go on the bridges. It's like a big round circle. You have to go on first to get up to the bridge. We're in that circle responding to the scene when we hear, it sounds like another plane coming in, the second plane hit the second tower. We can hear it, but we can't see it. All of a sudden, we just see this huge fireball and an explosion. And then it starts, everyone on the radio starts yelling. The second tower's been struck. People are jumping out the windows. Cops are calling for help. The code that we use when an officer needs assistance is called 1013. All you hear is 1013s in the radios. Or who's trapped, who's injured, who needs help because somebody was hurt. We knew at that point, well, Billy and I knew at that point, it was a terrorist attack. The captain, not thinking, just went, my God, 2 planes? Same day, 2 accidents? What's happening? We had to kind of, smack my head and wake up. And Captain, look, we're being attacked. The reality hit it then. As we're going over the bridge to go to Manhattan, you can see the 2 towers. 2 large gaping holes in the towers. Smoke, fire blowing out. We get to the scene, we park the truck 2 blocks away. Exit the vehicle, and Billy and the captain start walking ahead. As I'm gathering some of the stuff to walk out, a guy walks up to me. Now, I hope people have strong stomachs here because it gets a little graphic at this point. A gentleman walks up to me, his arm was severed from some of the debris that hit him. And he's holding his arm, he's asking for help. And I'm standing in the middle of the street trying to stop ambulances who are flying around me to get to the scene. They weren't stopping. So I told the guy, I said, I saw a triage center 2 blocks up. You might want to go up there to get treated. He takes his severed arm, waves at me and says, thanks, and walks off. I start walking up to meet Billy. Billy's standing still. I can't see what he's looking at the point at the time when I'm walking up, but he's just perfectly still looking at the ground. As I get up to Billy and I look down at what he's looking at, it was what appeared to be a person's chest and part of the plane, looked like part of the turbine of the engine, that impaled the person, ripped their body to shreds, and lay in the street in a huge pool of blood. Now, Billy did about 14 years as a transit cop. He worked the train system. In New York City, I can't tell you how many people jump in front of trains, get pushed in front of trains, and homeless that sleep on the tracks, they get run over by trains. Billy's seen some severely mangled bodies. This was scaring him for some reason, and had to kind of try to bring Billy back to reality to let him realize we're going to see a lot worse. We're here, we're going to see a lot worse than this. He gathered his thought, walked away, walked off with me. We got to the scene, and he was the first deputy police commissioner, Joe Dunn. He's #2 man in the NYPD. Police commissioner and the first deputy. He was the first deputy, he's second in charge. He's standing there on crutches. He had just had knee surgery done. He's standing on crutches. He's just staring at the 2 towers. And there's federal agents, FBI, Secret Service agents, DEA agents, yelling at him to give them orders on what to do, what they can do to help out the NYPD. And he's just in total shock. Joe liked to smoke cigarettes, but never had cigarettes on him. Took a pack of cigarettes out and a lighter, put it in his hand, and I tried to bring him back to reality. I said, hey Joe, you're gonna need these later on. He kind of woke up and came back to reality, realized, he's got to start doing his job now. And as a joke, he always smacked me in the head. And he smacked me in the head and just tells me, be careful. And I look at him and say, be careful. You're on crutches standing in front of these buildings, so if they come down, get the hell out of here. So at that point, I'm like, all right, Joe, what's my orders? What can I do? What do you need me to do? He tells me, Richie, start making your way into the building. He was stopping below the impact floor and down, get people out. There's all the rest of the people on impact floor and above, they're dead. And at this point, people are jumping out the windows, escaping the fire. We don't know whether they were pushed, they fell, they make decisions. Some people make decisions on their own to jump. We're watching people jumping, and people hanging out and yelling for help. And I'm like, Joe, what do you mean they're dead? Look, they're up there, they're screaming. We gotta get them. Because we're not gonna get to them. Start working your way from below the impact floor down. Get these people out of here. They're not gonna make it, they're gonna die. Forget about them, they're dead. Then he tells my captain, all right, well, you're the highest ranking detective on the scene right now, start getting information. Any detective shows up, write their names down as first responders, start giving assignments out. My captain knows the type of guy I am. So as I'm getting ready to run up to the building, he grabs me and says, "You're staying with me. I'm not going anywhere." He's the second part of what saved my life that day. We walked to a building 3 blocks away as a temporary headquarters post for detectives. If you watch when the second plane hits the second tower, you'll see something come out the opposite side and just flying down. It was part of the engine that came out. It happened to go through the same building we had as the temporary headquarters. It went through the roof of the building, through 3 stories, out the side of the building, into the street, onto the sidewalk, and knocked over a woman on a payphone who's calling her loved ones to say she was okay. We don't know that, so we're in there with any detectives coming. We're told to respond to that building to be given their orders. I can't stand sitting around doing nothing, so I'm outside and I'm like a patient. And all of a sudden you hear what sounds like another plane coming in. Really loud sound. People are starting to run. I'm telling people to get into the building, go in the basement in case there was a plane, this way they'd be somewhat safe. I see this one detective I know coming around the corner, throws a pad, slides down the building wall and starts crying. As I start to approach him, and if you remember watching the film, you see that big cloud of dust just come and take over the whole city. That cloud engulfs us. You can't breathe. You couldn't see nothing. Or you taste this dust. You couldn't even call for help. You were sucking through your hand trying to get air. When it finally clears up a bit, he's still crying. What was going on? And he tells me, "They're gone." "Who's gone?" And he just keeps saying, "They're gone." I keep asking, "Who's gone?" He goes, "My whole crew. They're gone. The tower came down." "What do you mean the tower came down?" He said, "In '93, they bombed the towers. They took out 5 stories of the towers with a truck bomb. The building came down in '93. What do you mean it's down now?" And she just kept saying the building fell. The tower's gone. They're dead. So I'm trying to calm him down, and all of a sudden a van pulls up. And it's his crew. They all made it. They all survived. He got in the van with them and he left. And I left. I went to the first tower. First one hit, the second one to come down. I start going in and start pulling people out, trying to rescue people. I'm in there for quite some time, and then I'm carrying out the last person I found. The gentleman who was severely burnt. I have my shoulder and carrying him out. And as we're exiting, I pass a friend of mine. His name is Sergeant Timmy Roy. He's on the floor in the lobby, the first floor of Tower 1, tending to a guy who was all burnt. We didn't say a word. We just looked at each other and a wink and a smile. And I start walking out. As I walk out, I run into another friend. He's a SWAT team sergeant, Michael Curtin, Sergeant Curtin. Sergeant Curtin was a Marine. He fought in quite a few wars already. NYPD cop for over 20 years. In our SWAT team, he was at the World Trade Center for '93 for the first bombing. Went to Oklahoma City to assist in Oklahoma City when they had the bombing of the Murrah building there, the federal building there. And of course now is at the scene to help out for 9/11. Sergeant Curtin was supposed to work a night shift that night. He did a day shift because it was his wife's birthday. He wanted to take his wife out to dinner for her birthday. Well, Sergeant Curtin was sitting there looking for his crew. His whole crew was inside. We walked out of the towers. It was probably only about 15 seconds before the tower started to collapse as we're out. Sergeant Curtin looks at me, pushes off, and goes to run. And I try to grab him. He just kept running. As the building's coming down, he's running into the building. We found Sergeant Curtin just before the 6-month anniversary at the doorway in the lobby of Tower 1. When he was found, the only thing that was identifiable on him was his tattoos. He was decomposed. And they identified him through his tattoos and through his dental, through his teeth. Guys like that, guys like that, you have to say, when you hear the word hero. Right? Unfortunately, heroes are usually dead. They're plaques that hang up in the corner. They get dusty. It's the truth. It's a shame because they've forgotten about it for a period of time. These guys should not be forgotten about. When Sunday comes around, the Sunday comes up, it's the 10-year anniversary. It's not just another day, guys. It's day that we've had the worst terrorist attack on the United States soil. Everyone learned about Pearl Harbor. That was an attack on our military, attack in Hawaii, which I have a stepson who's in the Navy and stationed in Hawaii right now. Our military got attacked that morning on Pearl Harbor. That was the worst attack ever on the United States soil since we've been a country, up until September 11th. September 11th was an attack in American society, attack on all of us, on your parents, your grandparents. It wasn't for war reasons. It wasn't to gain financial reasons. The people who attacked us because they hate us. Because we're a strong country, we do what's right for everybody, other than our own people, unfortunately. But we do what's right for everybody, and we're what they call the American police force. Whenever something goes wrong in another country, we're always the first ones there to take care of business, to give out money, to give out aid, to give out support with military. And people like any of us here will go and assist. When you think of that day, it's just not another day. It's a day that over 3,000 innocent people who were just going to work that morning to support their families died. Were viciously killed for no reason, only because they were Americans and they were hated. Of the people that died, of the over 3,000 people that died that day, there were people from 67 different countries that died in those towers. It wasn't just Americans. People from different countries that died. The people who were responsible for it, as you all know now, is Al-Qaeda, Middle Eastern radicals that believe in the jihad, and they believe that by killing others, their God says killing others is the right thing to do. Killing's not right. I don't care whether if it's justifiable to survive, somebody's trying to hurt you and you have to kill them to get away, or to prevent somebody else from getting hurt. That's what my job as a cop was. If I have to use deadly physical force, fine, it's justifiable. Still kill them, no matter what. It's taking another human's life is wrong. And for the reason they did it, even more so. Quite a few people I knew that day died. I have 43 good friends that passed away that morning, who were firefighters and cops. I knew every one of the police officers who was killed that morning, personally, very well. And 20 of the New York City firefighters that were killed. One of the firefighters I talk about, there's two actually, but one I'm going to talk about now, his name is Kenny Marino. He's a firefighter with Rescue 1, which is an elite unit in the New York City Fire Department. Kenny was 6'8", tall, skinny, lanky guy. He used to love to run. Him and I have been friends since 1977. As kids, we used to work in a department store together. And we worked in toys during Christmas. Kenny's dream was always to become a New York City fireman. We were both volunteer firefighters, and that's the uniform we're wearing today is the Long Beach Fire Department, which I'm here representing today for 9/11. We both volunteer firemen together as well. Kenny's dream finally came true and he became a New York City fireman. And even became more true when he went into Rescue 1. Kenny was last reported to be one of 12 firefighters to make it to the 76th floor, which was the impact floor of the first tower. Never made it out, and he was never recovered, not a piece of him. That morning, his wife had stopped at the firehouse to see him with their 2 kids. He had a son and a daughter. His daughter was a model, and she was giving Mom a hard time about doing modeling shoot that morning. So Mom decided to stop at the firehouse so Kenny could talk to her, try to calm her down and get her to do it. Now, ironically, Kenny's wife is a stewardess for American Airlines. The planes that struck the Twin Towers was American Airlines and United Airlines. The flight that struck the building was his wife's flight. She should have been on. And she switched with somebody to take the kids to the modeling shoot that morning. Kenny, at the firehouse, was talking to his daughter. Walked off along with her. Talked to her and convinced her not to give Mom a hard time to do the shoot. He was an outrageous father, an outrageous husband, an outrageous man. He tells his daughter a secret that he didn't want her to say anything to his wife or his son about. He had bought each one of them their own special present that he had hidden in the house. Something that they really enjoyed. And he hid it somewhere. And he told his daughter where he hid it. And then he promised her, Kenny liked, he loved playing baseball. He didn't use chewing tobacco. He liked chewing gum. You know the tobacco gum? He would chew on the gum. And he promised his daughter, if she didn't give Mom a hard time, I'll give you some of my special gum and the presents when we get home. She agreed. He gave her the gum. Wife left. Went to the modeling shoot. That was about an hour before the towers were hit. From the building, his wife saw the plane come in, hit the tower, saw the fire trucks responding, and told the kids, look, Daddy's probably going there. Not even thinking that that was the last time she ever saw her husband. And that was the last time they ever saw their father. They were really young at the time. His daughter was 5 and his son was 3 at the time. When the 1-year anniversary came up, Kenny's wife, her name's Katrina, she was upset and she was crying, thinking about losing Kenny. And his daughter wanted to make her smile, make her laugh. So she remembered about the gifts. And she said, wait, Mommy, I got it. Daddy left a surprise for us. She went and she got the gifts where he had them hidden and brought it out and gave each one of them their special gift from Kenny. Made her happy to know that he at least thought about them before he left, and that she remembered it, and that he shared the secret with her. But of course, it never replaced him not being there. Second fireman I want to talk about, his name is Captain Terrence Hatton. Terry, Kenny, and I all volunteer firemen together in Long Beach. Terry's wife was Major Giuliani's secretary at the time, ironically as that was. They didn't have any children at the time, and Terry was, like me, a gun-ho guy, goes in, doesn't think about nothing. That morning when the towers were hit, when he responded to the scene, and he met up with the captain inside Tower 1, the chief, to get his orders. When he got his orders with the company, he stepped back, he saluted the chief, told the chief it was a pleasure working with you. I'm probably not going to see you again, and walked off. As he started making his way up the stairs, according to people who did survive and saw this, said that Terry ran into one of his good friends. He hugged him, he kissed him, and he told him, I'll see you on the other side, brother. You know we're not going home today. We're not making it out of here. Well, Terry didn't make it out. Neither did his friend. We recovered Terry's body and his friend's body 3 days later. Terry was decapitated. His head was cut off. We never found his head. We recovered his body. His friend was recovered 10 feet away from him. They both released went together. Beth, his wife, was angered with him that she feels he chose to die rather than to come home to her, because he didn't think at the time. Well, she had gone to the doctor's office a couple of days before. She wasn't feeling well. The morning of his funeral, she gets a phone call from her doctor's office that she was pregnant with their first child. Kind of made her a little happier knowing that, right, she's not going to have Terry. She's going to have a part of Terry for the rest of her life, which is their child was born that May. The reason why I'm here today to talk to you kids is to let you know that we're Americans. Things happen here. We may have our disagreements amongst each other. People here may not like somebody to sit next to. That's fine, it's your choice. Everyone has a right to. But we have freedom. We're allowed to do that. But freedom was given to us because of our military personnel. Our forefathers, our great-grandfathers, great-great-grandfathers, who fought for us to be here right now. For me to make the decision what kind of job I wanted to do. You guys make the decision what you want to do. You guys